Oh, great. Okay.
And Carolyn Madden is too, and she's a
Jill?
panelist.
Jill is there, Liz is there.
Okay, so Abby Gomez, we should promote her to panelist, right?
Yes, Abriana.
Okay, and then
We are
did you say
we are live on Facebook.
And
And did you
Carolyn Madden
Carolyn
as
Madden.
well,
Okay,
Jason.
great,
And Jill
So-
Lippett,
And Jill Lippett.
great.
Liz Gallagher.
Okay. Are we ready to call the meeting to order?
Just hold one moment. Let's make sure we've
Okay.
gotten everybody out. Let's also move Melinda up as well at this time. Are we moving all of our speakers up at this time?
And Liz Gallagher.
Okay,
Liz
so-
is an alternate and Jill is here.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so we won't promote Liz at this time. Melinda, I'm gonna make you a panelist and just hold off on turning on your camera until it's the item that you're speaking on, please. Okay, I think at this point, if people have scanned the attendee list and we've gotten everybody we need to onto the panelists list, we should be good to start.
Okay. So we're calling the meeting to
Oh, I'm
order.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is Arnica from Caltrans. We are missing Yes,
see.
who is our project manager and one of the panelists. He
Okay.
said he's in the
I'm
meeting.
I'm seeing Greg Curry and Jaime Gutierrez from Caltrans. Would you like them both to be promoted as well?
No, just we have kind of a large group of Caltrans
Okay.
folks who are here who are all like our call a friend team. But
So
Yes is part of the
So
I will
who's
say
ready
that there's going to be an item before you guys.
okay.
So we still have a little while before we start with you with
Okay.
stuff.
But just for all of us, Yetz is the only person who's missing from the panelist.
I see, is it Yatendra?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and promote her at this time.
Thank you.
Great, so we'll do a quick scan before we jump into that item, but it looks like we've gotten everybody onto the panel that we should have. And you can chat me if there's any concern and I can look for those people if we're missing anyone while we go through the first few items. Thank you.
We're also, just one more thing, folks, to our guests who are panelists. If you could turn your cameras off until your agenda item is up, that would help the viewers focus on the current folks and information. Thank you.
Okay. We'll start the,
Oh, dear.
Run
We're all
here.
living.
I'll give Cindy a few more seconds. Oh,
We lost you,
you're
Cindy.
alive.
Come back.
oh, okay.
You froze.
Okay. Still waiting for the flag though. Here we go. Okay, so I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. And I don't know if someone has their mic on. There was kind of squeaking there. We should turn it off. Okay, I'll start with a roll call here. Beth?
I'm here.
Okay, Scott?
Present.
Marty?
Here.
Abby?
Here.
Okay.
Caroline?
We lost you after
Jill?
Abby.
Okay, Caroline? Am I frozen?
She's here, but she's muted.
Oh, okay, got it. Jill? I thought she was here. Are you muted, Jill?
Oh, she should be here.
Well,
I'm
Maybe
sorry.
she's-
So
she's
I think
still
you're
in
looking
the
for Jill
agenda
Lippett,
users.
right?
Yeah.
I
she
think-
was
Yes.
down.
Jill was in the meeting. She must have dropped because of her signal. I'll promote her once again.
Okay.
oh, okay. So, Brian
Here.
and
And Jenny, she was here.
I am here.
Oh, good. Great. And I think that's everybody.
okay, I think I'm freezing up here. I don't know if you heard me. Do we want to do the approval of the agenda?
Yes, and go ahead and do that, Cindy.
I'm sorry, before you do that, do you want to just confirm you were calling on Jill? And Jill, can you confirm you're here? Cindy, you were going in and out, but hopefully you're.
Jill's
Oh,
muted.
okay.
And Jill, you're muted.
So I hope you haven't lost me again.
You're good.
No,
Cindy.
Jill
I
is
just think-
muted.
I'm good now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm having
Okay, there she
technical
is.
problems.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any changes or corrections, or excuse me, to the
Minutes.
agenda?
Hmm.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so moved.
Motion. I
Okay,
second.
Beth,
okay, so
Beth
Marty and
second.
Beth, got it. Beth?
Yes, Beth.
Okay, Scott,
I,
Marty,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Caroline? Is she still here? Maybe on mute? Are you on mute, Caroline?
she's not muted.
I unmuted myself.
Oh, okay, now I hear you.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Jill,
Yes,
Beth? I mean, excuse me, Brian
Yes.
and Ginny.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any statements of conflict of interest from any of the council members?
I'm not seeing any hands.
Okay, got it. Is there any correspondence, Marty?
No, there wasn't any correspondence in the packet, and I wanted everybody to know that at our last meeting, we approved sending a letter to Mike McGuire regarding funding for state parks, and a letter to the Board of Supervisors about making broadband available to all the unincorporated areas in Sonoma County. And I don't believe we've received any answer to either of those letters. I haven't, and I haven't talked to Scott since before the storm.
I
But
haven't
he's-
either.
yeah,
Okay. Did you want me to do the consent calendar, Marty, or?
yeah, I'll do the consent calendar.
Okay, got it.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? And I should point out that if you have a correction to the minutes, we need to remove the minutes from the consent calendar in order to discuss them. So does anybody want to remove the November minutes from the consent calendar? I'm not seeing any hands. So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
And a second?
second. Second,
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll do the roll call for you for the vote.
Thank you.
Okay, Beth,
Aye.
Scott,
I,
Marty,
Aye.
Caroline,
Aye.
Jill.
aye,
Whoops, I skipped Abby,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and Ginny.
Aye.
Okay.
So, and my last gasp, before I turn it over to Elise for the election of officers for the next year, I would like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to be the chair of the MAC the past year. On the next agenda for the March meeting, I'll have our annual report from the past year. I didn't sit down to write that until after the storm had begun, and I was just having a hard time focusing. So hope you'll forgive me. And I've really appreciated the opportunity to get to know each of you and to learn more about how the county functions. And I'm really grateful. So thank you very much. And now I'll turn it over to Elise.
Thank you so much. And it is we who are grateful to you, Marty, for your amazing leadership. I see Supervisor Hopkins' hand is up.
I just wanted to extend my deep gratitude to you, Marty, and to thank you for your steadfast, professional, thoughtful leadership. I think that one of the things that you have done as MAC chair is to just intellectually engage very deeply on very complicated policy matters. And I know how much energy that takes and how much time goes into just sort of the reading, and your willingness to engage with deeply bureaucratic processes is very much appreciated. You've been a thoughtful and respectful yet very strong advocate, and I just deeply, deeply respect that. And I am grateful for the way in which you represent both your constituents and really the entire Sonoma County coastline. I also want to thank you for being the kind of person who will take a phone call at, 7 o'clock on a stormy night, and I say, can I come up to the North Coast tomorrow? Can we pull something together? I feel like I need to get up there and find out about the needs. And you set up the whole thing without blinking or wincing at the hour. And so thank you very much for your responsiveness. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. But thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
We're also blessed by all of our great representatives. So it is time for the election of the chair and the vice chair for this coming year. Just to review, our general process is that we train up the chair and the vice chair position. And Brian has been doing an amazing job this last year in the vice chair position. We have not received any other candidates asking to be chair, but this is the time to speak up if you would like to run for chair. Otherwise, the only candidate we have at this point is Brian. Seeing no additional candidates, I bring forth Brian Lubitz as for a vote for chair for this next year. Roll call vote. Marty?
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Ginny?
You're muted.
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Do I ask Brian to vote for himself? Jill?
Yes.
Beth?
Absolutely. Yes. I have a lot of faith and trust in Brian, and he's going to do an outstanding job.
And Caroline?
Yes.
Great. By
I
great
think you
acclaim.
forgot. I think you forgot Abby.
Oh, I don't
Abby
see
and
her.
Brian.
Oh, I don't think we can have Brian vote for Ryan. Oh, there's Abby. You moved up there. Thanks so much, Abby.
Mm.
Thanks for the reminder, Marty. So to great acclaim, congratulations, Brian. And
Brian does get to vote for himself. Anyone
Does he?
correct me if I'm wrong? I believe so. I think it's you just don't want to make the motion or the second if there is a motion and a second, but I think he can vote for himself.
Okay, Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you all for the clarification. Now we come to the challenging part, which is the vice chair. We have not received any candidates for vice chair, so we are asking now if any of you would like to stand up to be vice chair this year. It's a great job. It's a lot of fun. We get to work together on the agenda, and the vice chair works on the land use issues. And if anyone would like to run for vice chair, please raise your hand.
Vice chair is not as heavy a lift as chair, so don't be afraid of it.
Well, yes, and maybe we'll get somebody willing if I point out that you're not making a commitment to be the chair the next year by being the vice chair. You know, if you decide after serving as vice chair that you don't want to be chair, you don't have to apply for it.
Correct. Just
I would serve as vice chair under Brian unless someone else is interested in doing so.
Okay, so we have candidate Beth Berzoni as vice chair. We have no other candidate. Let's do a roll call vote. Let's see if I do a better job this time. Starting with Abby.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Marty.
Yes.
Ginny.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Jill.
Yes.
Caroline.
Yes.
And Beth.
Yes.
Wonderful. We have a fabulous slate of officers now. Brian and as chair and Beth as vice chair. Chair Lubitz, I hope I said that right. I pass the gavel to you.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody. And I want to just thank Marti for all of her tremendous work. You know, even when we were having all the power failures, she was still helping out. So thank you so much for your amazing leadership and all the hard work you did this year. So thank you. All right, so moving on, are there any council member reports?
Oh,
So I will say that something we will discuss at some point in the future. I'll be talking to folks throughout the year about if we can arrange council member reports so that we can highlight some of the work that everybody's doing in the community going forward. But we'll schedule those further down the line for our March meeting. So I will move on now to public comments. So if there's anybody who would like to make a comment on something which is not on the agenda, please raise your hand.
Carol?
Hello?
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Go ahead.
Hi. We have a question from Jenna. A few months ago, there was a man named Brian who presented about Wi-Fi that he was setting up in Guerneville. And there was a possibility that it could be set up in Jenner. I heard a rumor the other day that it might be happening, but I was wondering how we could get an update on that. That's my question.
All right. I think we can't address that right now, but I don't know if Supervisor Hopkins has some time, or Elise in her staff member report to.
I have that in my staff report. So
Perfect.
you'll
Great.
be there later.
Great. So stick around, Carol, and we will have that for you later. Anybody else?
Hands raised. And then also, folks, you can submit your questions via the Q&A if you'd like to do that. No further
All right.
comments, Chair.
Okay, well, I will move on to the regular calendar items. And the first one we have is Supervisor Hopkins.
Thank you so much. I don't want to steal the thunder of Director Chris Godley, who is also on this call, but I will say that the damage sustained by the North Coast was substantial. The wind damage in particular, I think was something that we haven't really experienced in recent memory, sort of compounded by the fact that we have drought-stressed and disease-stressed forests. However, I do feel that the Emergency Operations Center also moved with unprecedented speed to take on some of these challenges in partnership with our local Sonoma County public infrastructure crews, and most importantly, our first responders and fire departments. I'm sure that at least some of the folks were listening into the scanners on that first night, and it was like a war zone, and folks were just trying to do whatever they could. And the harrowing tales, particularly coming out of Timber Cove, of challenges trying to get ambulances through, of just tree down after tree down after tree down, I think really sort of emphasizes the need for us to continue to work aggressively on vegetation management, particularly on shaded fuel breaks along our road system. And so, I look forward to maybe bringing back both Sonoma County Public Infrastructure as well as our vegetation management team through the Ag and Open Space District to provide an update to the Coastal MAC on that work, because I think that was certainly one of my takeaways. Another takeaway, and this came out of the trip that I was able to take up during a window between the storms that I'm really grateful to Scott Farmer and Marti Campbell for organizing, was that we also sort of need to have a little bit of a maybe it's an annual check-in to make sure that we all have each other's phone numbers and that all of our agencies have current up-to-date information for all of, we've got Sheriff, we've got CHP, we've got local fire departments, we have Department of Emergency Management, Sonoma County Public Infrastructure, and of course our office, and just really making sure that we are all working in sync. So I think that becomes critical, especially when we're faced with a disaster that quite frankly exceeds the capacity of any one agency, which is certainly what happened during those windstorms. I'm really, really grateful to the Department of Emergency Management for immediately standing up, those community support centers, and then for also working on the community recovery piece. But I think that some pre-planning about what is the best location, is it sort of on the one, or is it, up on the sort of hills where sort of the populations are, that we might have some good conversations around what is the best place to pre-position disaster supplies. That was also another lesson learned. When it's stormy, of course, that it becomes challenging to get those supplies from Santa Rosa up to the North Coast. And so I'm excited to work with our local fire agencies to support enhanced pre-positioning of disaster-related supplies, including potential for storage and little trailers and things, so that those will already be on site and we don't have to wait for them to be ferried up from the 101 corridor. So I'm not going to sort of steal the thunder, but I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Director of Emergency Management, Chris Godley. I also want to thank the amazing folks who have been standing up recovery support centers in both Guerneville as well as Healdsburg, and let everyone know that we do now have a virtual option available specifically for North Coast residents. This is geared at sort of low and moderate income individuals who were impacted by the storms in some way. That could include loss of food. It could include increased costs due to having to run a generator for so long. It could include lost work. It could include property damage. So sort of any storm impact that created a financial crisis for someone in need on the North Coast is actually eligible for this emergency financial assistance through the county. And that is thanks to the leadership of Director Godley as well as Director De La Cruz. And I don't know if she was able to pop back on, but I actually was just texting Lupe Catalan, who has been an amazing leader who has stepped up and really assisted us in particular with our work in Guerneville. And so if it's possible to promote her, she might have a few words to say on the community recovery centers. I do see that she's back. I know that her signal dropped, but I think she might be back online. And while we're trying to get that done, I would like to share the phone number for you all. And just so you know, our office is actually not posting this publicly on our general sort of web pages, because this is specifically a North Coast resource. The resources for the Lower Russian River and for the North County, sort of central North County, already concluded. We had in-person locations in Healdsburg and Guerneville. So this virtual option is specifically for North Coast residents. And the phone number is 707-565-3856. Again, that's 565-3856. 5, 6. And I want to thank Marty and Scott for also working with local community-based organizations to try to directly connect folks to that resource. We had 7 people served yesterday through that hotline. The other thing you should probably know are the dates and times. So it is open through January 20th, which is tomorrow, and the hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we actually still have another hour of service this evening, and it will reopen tomorrow at 10 a.m. and go through 7 p.m. And again, if you can share this, specifically to North Coast residents who are in need, that would be much appreciated. And I don't know if Lupe was able to be promoted or if she can hear us right now. Jason, were you able to get her up as
I
a—
promoted Lupe, so I see she just unmuted. So Lupe, if
Perfect.
you'd like to say something.
Yes, thank you. I'm here. Sorry, I was driving back from Granville to Santa Rosa, but I'm here. And before I forget, because I'm very forgetful, I just want to say and ask, when you guys have this information, like right now that this assistance is going to be available to the North Coast, are you guys sharing this with the schools as well? I mean, is there a way that can that info get to the schools so they can share with their families?
Yes, we did in the Sea Ranch Annapolis area.
Okay,
And
and
in
then
Timber
just a little
Cove-
bit of. Go
Timber
ahead, I'm
Cove,
sorry.
every student took it home yesterday.
Okay, and thank you for to Lynda Hopkins for giving me the chance to speak. I was actually helping as a volunteer for 3 days at the support center that we had here in Granville, and I mean the first day we had about 220 people that came in to apply for the funding. That was Sunday. Monday, we also had about 125. Tuesday, similar amount, and then Wednesday, it was the same thing. What was really sad is that Wednesday, which was yesterday, most of the residents that were coming to apply were West County residents, primarily from the area of Granville, Monterey, and Duncan Mills, that the information was not getting to them. It was, we had a lady, and I shared this via email with Ms. Hopkins, that we had a lady that drove from Casadero. She arrived last night around 6 o'clock. And I was the one obviously reading, and giving out the numbers and telling local residents that the funding had been exhausted. And I could totally see on their faces the disappointment, the frustration. And obviously they were there to get the support that they're needing. The lady started crying. I was just glad that we had West County Community Services there. I reached out to Anna. She was doing the intake because they had said even at 6 that they didn't want to do any more intakes because they were already getting ready to clean and put everything away. So I reached out to Anna Booker with West County Community Services, and she was able to do the intake for this particular resident from Casadero. And they were also able to provide gift cards for gas, which was, I was glad that they were able to do that. So we had a lot of residents yesterday that, yes, they stayed to do the application process, but at the end, just to hear that there was no funding available. So I think one of the things that I've noticed just working in the Lower Russian River community is that I think the internet is a big problem, that this information is not getting to everyone. And that's why I was asking, because I also work for the Granville School, and I was, some of this information I had to share with the office to let them know to please share with the parents, with the staff, and also to please share via Parent Square. And yet we still had a lot of families from the Granville School that did not get a chance to apply because they didn't know about it. And today I was just kind of hearing that, and that they were, just finding out today that that this support center was actually there in the Guerneville area. So that's the feedback that I can provide to you. And as a community member and also as a community health worker, I can tell you that the need for West County is high, especially for these areas like, Monterey, Duncan Mills, Casadero, where the internet service, it's bad. So thank you for letting me share this information with all of you. And I'm here as a community member that cares for this community, even though I don't live there. I've been working there for a year, and I want to do my best to learn about the different organizations that are around to be able to support these families that really need this support, to be able to say, I'm here and I'm not just sitting behind a desk trying to make changes. I'm actually out there in the field getting to know the families. So thank you all for giving me this chance to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lupe, for your work. And I believe, Lupe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you also used to drive a bus route on the North Coast that included a delivery to Odeon. Is that correct?
Yes, I was a driver for on-truck services, and I did it for 3 years. So I definitely know the area.
Neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I would go all the way down on, Highway 1 to Bodega Bay, coming down to Occidental. So I've seen small communities that definitely need that outreach. And the only way we can do it is, driving down there and knocking on doors.
Yep. And so I think that one of the really important things that is a lesson learned that Lupe shared from the experience with the Guerneville site, and knowing that we only have one more day of this virtual phone-in option for resources for North Coast residents, is that a personal touch is critical. A lot of the folks who were coming in on that final day in Guerneville literally heard about it from a neighbor. Some of the folks, again, had very limited access to like no TV, no internet. And so if you know folks who are in need, please do consider reaching out personally to encourage them and give them that phone number. And so in terms of the expenditure of the funds, we did exhaust the original allocation. I can't say anything, sort of make a public commitment yet, but I am hopeful that we will be able to provide additional resources. And I know that we are committed to continuing to accept the applications for the North Coast, since the North Coast did not have a physical location set up. I also am actually working to augment resources, and I have an agenda item going before the Board of Supervisors on February 7th that will allocate actually $50,000 to Raíces Collective so that Lupe can continue actually knocking on doors in West County to see what folks' needs are. And then also $50,000 to West County Community Services, partly to continue homeless encampment outreach, but also to augment their crisis response fund, which could also provide additional resources if, for instance, folks don't hear about the resources in time, or if, heaven forbid, we get worse weather in February. It's looking like it's going to be a wet February. We also will still have resources available.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Hopkins. Jill, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, I'm a little confused. I'm a little upset, actually, that Jenner wasn't notified of these resources. I put out a newsletter, and I could have absolutely informed some of our residents, some of whom would absolutely qualify and would really appreciate that assistance. So now I could put out an emergency newsletter tonight, encouraging people to apply by tomorrow, but I don't want to have them, put this at the top of their agenda if there really are no funds, if the funds are exhausted. I feel like I don't want to ask people to go through a process at the last minute where there are no funds, unless Supervisor Hopkins really does believe that there will be funding for this otherwise. And I'd also like to know why I wasn't informed of this this resource, so that I could inform my community, which definitely is in the impacted area.
So I will say that kind of the area that was identified as high need in terms of the coast was sort of further north. I mean, I know that the Jenner zip code, right, goes up to Timber Cove, but we're really sort of looking at the far north coast in terms of the biggest impact due to trees down. And that was just from the data and from the calls. But if folks did experience, if they are of need and experienced a prolonged power outage, I can definitely check in. And I don't know if Director Godley has an answer as to whether Jenner is sort of considered part of that targeted area.
Jenner had 5 days. Sometimes some people had 5 to 7 days of power outages and suffered a lot of economic loss as a result of that. And you should know that we also, the Jenner Community Club, got power back very early, was one of the first in Jenner to get power back. And we opened up our own center that allowed people to come in and charge their devices and use our kitchen if they needed to cook. So we were providing that to our community.
We can check with Director Godley on sort of what is considered the North Coast. I think it's an excellent question. I will, though, affirm that there are funds reserved for the coast. So those applications will be processed. And if folks are eligible, which is determined based on income level and need, so not everyone is eligible because we really are reserving it for the most vulnerable residents in our community, they will be processed.
Yeah, and this is Chris Scott. I would just underscore the Supervisor Hopkins' commitment to the coast by the money. People that register on the phone tomorrow will still be in the potential economic assistance program. Everyone else is being kind of cut off, if you would, but the coast can still call tomorrow and get in. And Jenner North, absolutely. We'll take Jenner. And I will share with you, we did not attempt to reach all residents of Sonoma County or even the North Coast as part of this economic assistance. We did try to work through the community-based organizations, the nonprofits, the schools. We really were looking to identify and get into the areas that general mass media doesn't cover, and so that's why it was a more imperfect outreach effort. But I will share with you, it's a bold, ambitious project that the county undertook. We had a great idea on a Tuesday night during the flood storms, and we launched it Sunday morning, and nobody else in California is trying this. So we are going to take a lot of feedback on this, but it is part of a big, actually 2-year project that the county's undertaken to how to identify and best deliver goods, services, and resources to the most disadvantaged and traditionally underserved components of our community.
Can I ask you what the qualifications are to receive the funding so I can let people know whether they should apply or not?
So it's going to be economic income first and foremost. Depending on what you earn, there's a gradation of what you can qualify for. But I'm going to suggest over 85,000 don't call. I'm going to be quite honest on that. But there's a scoring system for individuals depending on the nature of their situation. A single mother with children is going to have a greater need and will score higher on the ranking for potential reimbursement. And I will share with you, the reimbursement levels are relatively limited. This is a pilot project the county is using its own funds for. This is not state or federal assistance at all. And so the award amounts might range anywhere from $250 to $800. So it's still a modest amount. The intent is really to identify and deliver timely economic assistance quickly to people so they can get right back into the game, right back on with their lives, rather than waiting around for a month or two for some indirect assistance.
Chris, Beth Brazzoni here. Real quick question on that. So my audio broke up a bit. Can you tell me what type of items would be reimbursed? Are we talking just about residential needs like power, food, clothing, that kind of thing, or shelter, or more than that?
I would term it not necessarily a reimbursement. It's really direct financial assistance. It's going to be a cash debit card that will go to the individual so they can make the determination as to what needs to be reestablished in their lives first. But we are looking for individuals that have suffered hardship and loss, either direct physical loss, damage to homes, cars, transportation. They've lost economic opportunities by having work closed on them or not being able to get to work, or they have had increased expenditures for fuel and food, for example.
Thank you very much.
And just having been at the Guerneville Center and having interacted with some of the eligibility workers and intake folks, I can tell you that we are, seeing people who are entire families subsisting on $17,000, $20,000, $25,000 a year, living in a trailer without a license for the trailer or a lease for where they're parked. And so our goal is really to take those most vulnerable folks and get them the resources that they need in order to be able to make rent or to get food on their family's table for the next month. So, I know that a lot of folks experience, loss of food or, a tree down on their property that's going to cost money to deal with. But this is really sort of designed to help the most vulnerable residents. And so, like, I think Director Godley said it well, over $85,000 don't apply. We're trying to help those most vulnerable residents.
Okay. Well, thank you. If there's no other questions, thank you, Supervisor Hopkins. And this leads really well into our next item on the calendar, which is the storm response and recovery. I guess I'll let Director Godley have a few minutes just to sort of describe sort of the scope and how the response was operating while the storm was here and then sort of in the recovery period.
I'm just curious, well, we can't do really hands, but I was back here in the 1990s, and this storm reminded me a lot of some of the events we saw back then, 1986, 1982. So it's been a while since we've seen a significant windstorm, let alone 3 or 4 of them in a row come ashore. And so we found ourselves challenged by relatively new issues, especially in West County, that we'd not seen in maybe even 20 years. We certainly got used to the river coming up and down. But as I explained to the county administrator this morning, we had everything except the water. The river mostly stayed where it needed to, but everywhere else we had localized flooding throughout the county, of course, and Supervisor Hopkins certainly highlighted the challenges out there on the coast relative to the winds, the trees, the lines. I'm hoping that that's it for this winter in terms of significant winds. I will be honest, I'm a bit hopeful we might get more rain. We really do need the rain to get out of the drought overall. Be quite candid, we're not out of it yet, but hopefully in more measured tones. I will share with you, this is the kind of storm set, these atmospheric rivers that we had worked with and the board had identified as being a challenge that might exceed existing capabilities to respond. And last year, they actually allocated some funding for my department and the water agency to really look at catastrophic drought and catastrophic weather and flooding events as being something that might challenge our public safety and community resources. And we've seen some of that even just in the last 2 weeks. So to that end, what we're looking at here is a county that has a modest level of damage relative to both private property and public. I'll share with you our total damage estimate for the county at this point is just about $14 million for public infrastructure. This is roads, culverts, as well as some overtime costs for county staff and others that did do the first response. To put that in comparison, we're looking at north of $140 million in Sacramento, 85 million in Alameda County. Monterey County can't even estimate it at this point, but it's going to be north of 100 million there. So ours, for once, we were not the zero on the bullseye. It's amazing to hear us not being the problem child on a statewide call. That other counties really got hammered hard. That said, though, we are bringing in the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, will be here in the next few days to assess damages and determine if we can qualify to be included in an expansion of the President's Major Disaster Declaration. At this time, we are not included in that declaration, essentially. It's really limited to the 6 counties on the Central Coast, but we are hopeful that we can qualify so that the county could seek reimbursement, as well as other agencies could seek reimbursement for their repair costs and their immediate response costs. We opened everything up we normally do, Emergency Operations Center. We had a shelter at the fairgrounds, transportation. We did everything we would normally do in a major flood event. But as the supervisor indicated, those first few nights with the winds were really challenging. And it really does come down to that community level grassroots effort. We did surge fire resources, should say, into the area. to essentially try to fight our way in there. So it wasn't the coast doing it on its own, but it was part of the rugged beauty of the coast. I'm afraid we got the rugged part in the last 2 weeks. I can certainly answer any questions you might have.
I would add that I would say it's the windiest it's been for as long as I've been up here since it hasn't been as windy as it was. That was our big issue, and high winds and trees that couldn't hack it.
Well, that concludes any information I might present. Certainly, we're going to continue to engage. The hotline is still open for the North Coast. We will be at Timber Cove on Sunday with an information table. We are coordinating meetings right now with Timber Cove and Sea Ranch relative to the response and potential future coordination. And we'll continue to really look at the ability to support the communities that do become isolated during these events. It is a focus of ours, and we'll continue to work on that.
All right. Melinda, are you on as well?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, we are sharing a centralized mic here. We are located. My name is Melinda Rivera. I work for PG&E in local government affairs for Sonoma County and for Lake County. I'm calling in from a conference room here at our service yard on Occidental Road in Santa Rosa. Give a real brief update on the storm event. I am joined on the call this evening by our local electric ops superintendent, Joe Horak. He works in Cincinnati. And I'm also joined by Ron Richardson and John Leyva. They have regional roles kind of across the whole North Coast service territory from Humboldt down to the Golden Gate Bridge. And Ron Richardson is our regional vice president, and John Leyva is our regional operations specialist. And so, apologize, I know my eyelid is twitching a little bit. We've all been here every day since the beginning of this storm event. And what I can say in summary is that we had significant damage, as you're aware. Almost all of these outages, over 95% of these outages were related to tree fall. They were extensive. Had quite a few crews come in under a mutual aid agreement. It is not that we had scarce resources, it's just that our resources were stretched so thin. As Director Godley just mentioned a moment ago, our entire territory was impacted by this storm. So unlike other disaster events, previous weeks, for example, the earthquake up in Humboldt, we were able to mobilize crews from outside of the Humboldt division to all drive up 101 and assist our friends and neighbors up in Humboldt from recovering. It wasn't like that with this storm. We couldn't just call our colleagues down in the peninsula or call them up from Santa Cruz or the Bay Area or from Yolo Yard to come help us. Everyone was getting slammed. So we did have contract crews. We worked as safely and as quickly as we possibly could. I think Debbie had asked us about lessons learned. We really benefited from having temp gen staged ahead of time at the Salmon Creek substation so that we could, in anticipation that we could lose that transmission line that runs down out of Fort Ross, which is what happened, we could then run the temp gen out of Salmon Creek and energize the folks there in the Bodega Bay area. We also benefited from having some temp gen on standby for the schools so that we could respond quickly to school requests. We were super thankful for our partnership with Department of Emergency Management, with Caltrans, with our other local utility providers, and with local public infrastructure. We initially, at the very beginning of this storm event, I would say it was the night of January 3rd or January 4th, we did have crews out on 1 in Timber Cove after dark. It started falling, and we had to pull the crews back. It was just too dangerous for them to stay out there after dark when the trees were actively falling. But we so appreciated Caltrans and being able to partner with Caltrans and work alongside Caltrans to gain access where we could to reopen the roads and get our crews out there. We were also able to provide grab-and-go bags per the request of Department of Emergency Management. We provided over 1,000 grab-and-go bags for distribution here in Sonoma County. And then we also had contracts that we entered in fairly quickly to do a microsite out at Timber Cove. We wanted to prevent our crews from having to drive back and forth from this yard here in Occidental and to go all the way out to the coast and come back every night. We really wanted to be able to get those crews out there, located out there, and focus on where all the damage was there on the coast. So we really benefited from being able to stage our crews at the microsite in Timber Cove. And then we also had our Humboldt division, which serves the Gualala circuits and the Annapolis circuits, down out of Mendocino County. They staged over 30 crews at the airport in Gualala, and that made a huge difference. Lessons learned, I mean, I think that I'm getting a cue here, but I'll come back to that after. So, we're grateful for the food bank support and the partnership with the food bank as well. I guess just, lessons learned is really, we are trying to make sure that in a massive event like this, right, that safety remains paramount for all of us. We did have a tragic loss during this event. And, we are trying to keep our community members safe. We're trying to keep our employees and our contractor coworkers. It's work outside, and we understand the risks, but we should never be more dangerous than it has to be. So we are really grateful for our partnerships, and we're really grateful for the community members to provide us with the information that we needed to identify the areas where we had the most damage and get into those areas. So I will stop there and take questions.
All right. So I see Beth's hand. Beth, you have a question?
Yes, thank you very much. First, I want to thank the heroic efforts, truly heroic, by PG&E and our first responders and our county services. The response time was impressive. However, there were some serious communication issues, and I'm wanting to know how PG&E is going to address that in the future. We had residents who had no power but were being told they had power, and they clearly did not, and they were getting quite the runaround. And we also had residents who had absolutely no information as to why their power was out. Obviously, it was storm related, but they didn't know if it was it a tree down? Was it a transformer? Was it equipment that may take weeks to get replaced? There was no information for them to make a determination on how long they might be without power. How is PG&E going to address that in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was aware Supervisor Hopkins had escalated that there was a text message that went out to a community in Monterey. They'd had their power out for about an hour, and they had received a text message that power was already restored. We are going to have to go back and look at how we improve any automated messages and text messages. Insofar as being able to pinpoint exact estimated times of restoration, that was initially very difficult given the extent of the damage. So I think that some of our customers on the coast did have an outage, that had outages that lasted up to 8 days. And that, it's hugely impactful. We understand that. And I think Ron here in the room, he may want to answer that as well. But we definitely, it was just very tough going in the beginning to get those times of restoration.
No, Lynda, I think you answered it well, but I think there's definitely an opportunity to improve. When the event first started, we were being cautious to give estimated time of restoration because we didn't know. And you can imagine the complexity of, and I think Chris said it earlier, it really wasn't one event we're thinking about. We're thinking about 4 events hitting us and when we could actually get in to restore those customers. So a decision was made to do the best we could, I would say probably into the second wave, of giving those estimated time of repairs. And that's where we were seeing some of the times, I think it was the 14th, that we put in for the West Sonoma County area. And then what we said we would do every evening is as a team, we will look at those outages, and if there's any new information we could share, like maybe we could pull that time in, or maybe that time is to be pushed out. We would do that every single evening. But you can imagine the complexity of having 4 storms in a row hit you and not knowing if you're gonna have access. The one thing I really appreciate Chris's team, because we had a call with their team, because I wanted to understand, like, do we really think we're gonna lose access to West Sonoma County? And we've lost those kind of accesses in the past. But it does bring a really tough complexity of not knowing what's coming, and when you're gonna actually gain that access to get into those areas.
Thank you very much for these responses. And again, I have great empathy for everyone that works at PG&E. I would not have wanted your job during that storm. I mean, I can only imagine what you all went through. We're also very grateful. One case in particular that I am thinking of is I think there were 6 residences that had been without power for days and actually had to argue with PG&E to prove they didn't have power. So those, I mean, these are little things in the big game, and I get it. And patience. Everybody was affected, but you know, if we can think about going forward, how to avoid that kind of a situation. If someone calls and says they don't have power, I'm confident they don't have power.
Is there any way for me to get more information on that? Because what I'm hearing right now is we have an opportunity to learn from those residents, and I would love to reach out to them and
absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely. Please reach out to me. Supervisor Hopkins' office can give you my contact information. It's also on the CMAC page, and I'm very happy to introduce you to those residents.
Thank you.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, Timber Cove. Our first responders are speak very highly of the PG&E, the electrical crews, the chipping crews. All Caltrans had two people on 12 hours, 2 shifts a day. I just want to pass on that they have high regard for what happened. We have one hospitality business that was told by a PG&E worker that since they went through 1,000 gallons of diesel to keep their business running, that was reimbursable. Subsequently understand that isn't. If you could clarify that. And that's it. I just thank you.
Scott, thank you. And again, I think John put the email addresses in there for you guys to reach out to us. Send that over to us also. We'll look into, because again, if there is a commitment from our team of reimbursement, let us run that down and see what we can do.
Ginny?
Yes, hi. Yes, I'd like to chime in here on PG&E's effort to help us get back our power and all the good work that was done. I have a suggestion that may be possible, maybe not, but I want to put it out there that the communication part of this is the most, in addition to experiencing the outage, not knowing, when you're going to be back online and not being able to communicate, and phones going out, etc. It would be somehow useful to know, as with all the calamities that are happening simultaneously, what the priority is for each community, so that people will have some idea about where they fall. Naturally, a big town with more people would presumably take higher priority in terms of restoring service. But for those of us out on the coast, when we get no information whatsoever for days on end, it's mind-boggling. You can imagine the anxiety that brings up in many people's minds about not knowing how the world is out there and when they may be back online. So anything PG&E can do to improve the visibility into the data, you must have your own work. You call priorities and you spell that out. If you can share that with the public, I think it will go a long way towards building more confidence in where we're headed with the new PG&E going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. And one of the strategies we look at in these events is we always look at when the outages come in, we look for who's out. We look at we have hospitals out, do we have schools out, and they take the priority to restore. We look at also too, like, where are those hubs that we need to make sure that the gas stations are back on. So we try to prioritize through that. Medical line based customers also. But I'll tell you, in this event, it was pretty unique. When I think about how Sonoma County was hit, how Mendocino County was hit, it wasn't hit in the I call it the urban area. It was really rural. It was really that Monterey to Fort Ross to Sea Ranch into Point Arena. That little community stretch was heavily damaged. And one of our biggest issues is really getting our crews closer to that work. And I know Lynda said it, but I can't say enough thank you to the airport of Guala, because them allowing us to put that base camp in there. I can tell you, there's no doubt in my mind, 25 years doing storm response, we probably shaved off 3 days because of how the community supported us to getting us closer to you.
Yeah, and I would just add to what Ron said. I mean, it's not like we restored an urban area before we pushed those crews out to the airport at Gualala, before we established. We sent, as soon as we got the agreement in place to establish those base camps in Timber Cove and Gualala, we had 50 crews out there on the coast. It's just, the damage was so significant, and I think I sent a few photos out to the Board of Supervisors during some updates, but there were so many photos of tree fall out on the coast. And one shot that the crew sent me from one of the coastal areas, you could see where the line used to run through the forest, right? You could see where our crews had trimmed, an alleyway for the electrical equipment to pass. And you could see this straight shot, this pathway through the forest, and there's no sign of electric equipment. Trees have fallen and taken it all down to the ground. And as far as the eye can see, where there should have been poles and spans of electric equipment, there's nothing. And the damage was so significant in that area. It's not that we didn't prioritize anybody before the coast. We sent the crews out there, and I see Joe's got his camera turned on now as well, so he may want to add something too. But the damage was just so significant, and it took the crews a long time to repair.
The one comment I want to make too, and it's something that in this event too, we heard from Patty Poppy continuously, is we got to get better at communicating to our customers.
CEO.
Sorry, Dick, yeah. What I'm hearing from you right now is this great feedback from me is we're still not hitting that mark. We're not coming anywhere close to what you need from us on communication. And I would love to get your guys' feedback on this, because I think about the event, we're putting in our estimated time of restoration in our outage tool, but sometimes people will turn off that function to where even though we put that information in there, you don't get notified. I know multiple times I was on the local radio station giving updates, but maybe that's not good enough. So, maybe is it next door? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? I'm open to the feedbacks from you of how we can better communicate. So please, again, you have my email. Please share those with me.
Marty?
Hi, I live at the Sea Ranch, and I'm the Sea Ranch in Annapolis representative to the MAC. And oh my God, I grew up in Oklahoma where we have tornadoes, and the damage that we saw here really reminded me of tornadoes and hurricanes. It wasn't just hard rain. And we never imagined here that we would be without power for 11 days. And people at the end of the day are very grateful for how hard PG&E worked. Most people are aware of what you were facing because we saw it all around us. The Sea Ranch is currently estimating that we lost 500 trees just in the neighborhoods, not in the forest. Our people haven't even gone into the forested areas yet. They've just focused on the roads and being sure that the roads are passable and people's driveways are passable for safety reasons. And it's going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to recover from that. And as somebody who was here throughout, I didn't expect PG&E to be able to tell me exactly when the power was going to be restored. Along the way, I and my neighbors learned more about what circuit of PG&E we were on. For example, at the north end of Sea Ranch, parts of the north end are on the same circuits Gualala is on. So they got their power back much faster than those of us in the more southern areas. The most southern area, Sea Ranch, was really gnarly because the PG&E lines went up a ravine from Highway 1 up a steep hillside. So it was really overwhelming. And we were so grateful when we saw the PG&E trucks coming in with all the poles. And we too were really glad that you were able to establish the base camp at the airport in Gualala. And that was a really masterful idea and installation. I hope this never happens to us again. But you know, we can't count on that. And we're in the midst of, as individuals, we're all trying to figure out how to prepare better for the next possible massive storm like this, because we couldn't leave. You know, I was being obedient and staying home. And I had friends who were driving on Highway 1 locally, and I thought they were crazy because it was very dangerous. Anyway, thank you for what you've done. And more communication is always better, but I think you were really facing an impossible situation in this case because the damage was just so widespread. Thank you.
All right. Scott, did you have something else?
Just quickly, the one system that really stayed up throughout was our cell tower, and it kept us connected. And everybody mentions about communication, and our landlines in the area were spotty at best. In my neighborhood, they were out the whole time, but the cell tower worked. And as a group, let's talk it up and get the spots that don't have cell service filled in, and we'll all benefit from it for the next one. Thank you.
I'm going to open up public comment in a second here, but I just wanted to add my own sort of thoughts. First of all, I know in the county, we opened service centers throughout the community. I know there's one here in Bodega Bay, and I believe there were some others along the coast as well. The one thing that I would say is just how important those were for, especially, I know the folks up in the North Coast, but who were missing power for longer. But, you know, after a day, many folks who ran out of power or ran out of gas for a generator or whatnot, you know, if there's some way that we can make sure when we're, you know, if we're expecting another event like this, that maybe there's some pre-planning on that as well, so that we can, so that the community will be able to inform the community to make sure that they know that there's going to be, if the power's out for a day, that they can go to those centers. I know at the yacht club we have it here. And then on the communication, I know that, you know, some of our we have a ham network, but that wasn't really used at this time. And we had a presentation here last year, so, but I don't know the specifics of that, but from what I understand is that was not used. But maybe we can work to get that communication access for folks who don't have cell towers. But I'm also with Scott that the importance of those cell towers, we had that for as well. But the power backup that I had, I was able to use those, but some folks lost power and didn't have that ability to use that. And then finally, in terms of long-term planning for the PG&E folks, long-term, I know there's been some discussion of undergrounding in sort of vulnerable areas. Is the coast ever going to be considered for that, or will we sort of further down the list and that's favored for more fire-prone areas?
Yeah, so just because I know everybody's seen the TV commercials, so we have a 10,000-mile undergrounding initiative where last year we added 175 miles out of the 10,000. So it's going up the learning curve, right? Sort of exponentially. We're trying to double every year over that 10-year period. Those miles are 40% of the tier 2 and tier 3 high fire threat districts in our service territory. So it's a little less than half, but it's high fire threat districts. Unfortunately, if something's not in a high fire threat district, it's highly unlikely in a really rural location that you would underground it.
Okay. All right. Marty, do you want to go? And then I want to open up the public comment. If there's anybody else on the committee who hasn't had a chance yet, but otherwise I'd like to open up the public comment.
Just really briefly, having the comfort stations as far south as Fort Ross from us means that people in our area can't get there and can't use them. And the Sea Ranch Fire District and the Timber Cove Fire District are working together to do some planning for how to better meet the need in an emergency situation. And I'm sure, Chris, they'll be sharing that with you.
All right. Jason, can we, are there any attendees whose hands are up right now?
Yes, we have Kathleen Cruz.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Hi, thank you. I'm a PG&E retiree who bought a parcel on the coast above Timber Cove over 50 years ago so that I could stand to live in the city. And it's my refuge and I love it. So I'm very tuned into the community, but when I left PG&E, I managed utilities at Stanford and then at Microsoft. And I took a lesson I learned at PG&E that it's sounding like maybe it needs to be reinforced. I was there when the company changed its policy from identify, respond, communicate to communicate, identify, respond, because we learned that the most important thing is that our customers know that we know and we're working on it. And that customers will be more comfortable if knowing, you know what, it could be 2 weeks. This is really bad, just so they know. And then you can always update it. And then, communicate early and often. And it sounds like, those are the lessons we learned. It's just, you can't over communicate. And we've got a lot more channels today, so you have to use it all.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. Does anybody want to respond to that, or should we?
Sorry, we were on mute. Yes, thank you very much, Kathleen. And yeah, we appreciate that. And I think we're definitely, as part of our after action, we are definitely looking at how we can improve our community.
Okay. Shona, go ahead and unmute.
Hi. Thank you. Yes, I am a business owner, Rocker Oyster Fellers in Valley Ford, and also a resident of Bodega Bay and the president of the Chamber of Commerce of the Bodega Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to be a voice for our coastal communities out here. We are certainly thankful to all of the first responders, PG&E and Caltrans for helping us get through the storms. But I do want to talk just a little bit about the impact of Bodega Bay and Valley Ford and Bodega. It's always a challenge out here in any winter with big storms in terms of flooding, trees down, and there are certainly areas that are worse than others. One is the just coming into Valley Ford from Petaluma. There's a couple of really dangerous spots that year after year seem to not only endanger people that are driving through them, but also the first responders trying to get to them. And then this year with the unprecedented amount of rain, there were certainly places in Bodega Bay, the hairpin turn, there's just down trees and businesses, and it really has impacted our businesses here. Many of them are closed. We have people that are a lot of workers that have not been able to go to their jobs just because obviously the businesses are closed. And we really just found out about this information just a couple of days ago. So I'm hoping that I can just be a voice for maybe some better communication in terms of actually just getting the information. And then I wanted to bring up a couple of other points. I know that there will need to be, we got the lovely road in Bodega Bay, but I think some of the problems with the slides and the issues that were causing problems with the roads, I'm not sure that they have been fixed. And we are concerned as business owners. Last year I'm not sure, I think Caltrans decided to fix it during Memorial Day. So we just are hoping to get some communication on if there's plans to fix these problems, when they're going to be, and how we can get better communication in general, just from out here on the coast. Thank you.
Thank you, Shona. I'd like to sort of follow up, and maybe Chris, this answer, or maybe not, but with respect to the road conditions, I know that there was a substantial lag between information on when roads were flooded and when the county's website would say that they were open or not. So we had a lot of people ending up driving, fortunately, I did pass through Valley Ford today and saw the car in the middle of the field and the water. So I know there were some instances of cars being swept away, but how is that information in terms of flooding sort of reported to the public?
So it's the fog of war. I'll be quite candid, especially when we've got multiple and overlapping events and the rivers and the creeks are going up and down. It's not just one. We don't station people at the flooded roadways to monitor their conditions. So we then depend on reports that are coming in from public safety and honestly, our public infrastructure road crews that go out to check on them periodically. They phone it back into dispatch, which comes to the emergency center, and we put it up on the website as quickly as we can. Our goal is to do that within a couple hours, hopefully, especially when the road's closed, when there's an immediate life safety threat. Opening it is a bit harder because you have to just go out and check to see if the water has in fact gone down to a certain point where it's safe. But I will tell you that's going to continuously be a challenge given especially the extensive networks of roadways in West County. I mean, we've got quite a web we have woven over the years in terms of roadways, and it's very difficult to continue to patrol and maintain status awareness of all of those. It's fundamental, though, that we have to talk to our residents. Look, we understand it may be inconvenient, but do not drive into that water. Don't do it. We saw our first fatality here in years in Sonoma County because somebody from out of county didn't understand what was going on in our roadways. And unfortunately, we've got a lot of new folks moving into county as well as visitors. And I really thought we were going to lose a few more folks on that score alone.
Just to follow up on that, in terms of when I look at traffic, I oftentimes look at traffic cameras. Is there any ability to get cameras on some of the problem spots that the public can look at that are tied to those cellular towers where that's available?
I'm afraid that's relatively challenging for us because most of our hotspots are in relative remote areas. And so we would need to have wireless broadband and cameras installed. The Caltrans cameras that you see in the highways, that's about a $400,000 installation on each one of those. And each year they spend about $20,000 maintaining that camera by itself. So it would be a significant investment by the county to provide a visual record of what's going on the roadways. And of course, that really won't work for us at night at all.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so Elizabeth Watson. Go ahead. ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Watson. I live on the Sea Ranch. I just wanted to speak to the PG&E folks. I appreciate that fire is your concern and your priority for the undergrounding, as is population density. But in some circumstances, like the ravine that Marty Campbell referred to earlier, I mean, those people were out for 11 days. I think there are some geographic circumstances which might merit another look for undergrounding. So as you start to put that program in place and expand your plans for undergrounding, if you could also consider some of the topographical areas and some of those criteria, I think that would be a great idea. And thank you so very much for all you did. We saw you out there with the poles and the trucks, and we saw the folks at the Gualala airport, and we are very, very grateful for all you did to take care of us and to restore our power and get us back running again while you were here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. We are, as John referenced before, we are continuing to scope the undergrounding miles, and it is focused on high fire threat districts, but we are still continuing to do our risk assessment. And that information, as we continue to see the impacts of climate change year over year, right, that's going to continue to influence what our mapping looks like and what our risk assessments look like. If you wanted to add anything. No. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, we don't have any more hands raised, but we do have a question in the Q&A, and I'm happy to read it. It's directly to PG&E. Question for PG&E. This is from Kathleen Cruz. Is the cost for undergrounding electric service still 10 times surface distribution? If so, I think that fact should be included in every discussion unless something has changed. I doubt there will be much interest in a 10 times rate increase.
So I don't know, I understand undergrounding right now is several $1 million per mile to underground. We are hoping that as we do more miles, we are hopeful that we will gain more efficiencies and that we will be able to bring costs down year over year. That is the hope and that is the intent. And, rates are going up, and that question is absolutely spot on, right? What will our customers be able to bear when it comes to the costs of the undergrounding and all the other wildfire mitigation work? It's constant balance in trying to identify the work where it's most needed, try to do the work as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and being good stewards with the ratepayer dollars that we have been allocated. We are doing other things, so it's not, undergrounding is not the only solution. Storms still impact our underground equipment, quite honestly, right? So we are, I think, following this year's, once we have a chance to kind of come up and catch our breath, so to speak, I think we'll probably have the opportunity to go back, look at our tag list. Did over 600 packages of work, right, in this storm event, 600 different job packages. So it'll be a great, and I think Joe Horak is on the line too. He can speak to it as well, but this is definitely a learning opportunity for us as our distribution engineers start to look at our grid and what we're looking at when it comes to line reclosers, sectionalizers, whether or not we can underground, how we can better segment our grid. whether we're going to be looking at, not just tree wire, because this was such a wind event, but what else we can do, right, to try to mitigate the impacts for such a large number of customers. Now, granted, there were so many trees down. It was really tough, right? How can you even sectionalize when there's so many trees going down on every single span? But I'll turn it over to Joe as well. Who wants to add anything?
Thanks, Melinda. And I don't know if I could add any more to that, but I think your sentiment about how we continually look at the grid, as you mentioned, we've did well over 600 job packages. I think, our operation, our emergency center opened up before New Year's and have been running since then as we've looked at this. We constantly look at ways in which we can increase reliability, especially in our overhead, whether that is, as you said, more sectionalizing devices, or, in a normal circumstances, what kind of infrastructure we have in there. I think in this particular case, when we looked at it, it was, and I think someone that I heard in the media quoted it is, we were talking near hurricane level winds, and combined with, we haven't had a storm out in that area in a good 3 or 4 years, and with a lot of drought and a lot of tree mortality, we just got hit on all sides with trees or poles. We're still assessing exactly how many poles, how much wire we put up, what can we do in the future, but it's worth a conversation about how we begin to look at our infrastructure and continue to manage our way to new environments that we're facing. When we are looking at people obviously dependent on electricity, as we get more down, as more capacity needs to come onto the grid, how do we again manage those risks? And that when you have someone that's been out for 11 days, is there ways that we can begin to look at easier ways to mitigate that? So it's a constant question we're asking ourselves here. It's a constant work that we're doing with our engineers, and as we reconstruct, continue to look down the future. Hopefully, Chris, we do get some wet weather in February, but I don't want that weather to come down horizontal. I'd like it to come down in a nice, calm manner so that we're not having to go through this again. But definitely, we're taking some of the lessons learned about what we have out there, where we put our infrastructure. We've talked a lot about the coast. We also had to do a lot of work up in our burn areas, in which we're looking at infrastructure there that, was in the middle of what was ground before as swamps now, and how do we continue to maintain that infrastructure through those areas and what best works. So a lot of learning to do on our side, but I appreciate everybody's collaboration and cooperation with us. As Ron mentioned, there's always work that needs to be done with our communication. How are we doing that? I will relate to you. I was sitting in a meeting early on that. I think it was on that Wednesday, and we were having a meeting about the amount of outages we had, and I think we were sitting at about 300 outages with maybe about 40 people out. That was at 4 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, I was at 25,000 outages, and I was at about 400 different outage locations, and that just kept increasing all week, all night. And so we were really doing a battle there, trying to look at where we needed to put our emphasis on, and most importantly, as we're going through that night, and I know Chris was doing the same thing, how do we keep our people safe out there? How do we back out of those areas when trees are falling left and right, and making sure that we can clean it up the next day and going through that? So it was a learning about how we back off some of that and let sort of the system come down and then rebuild from there. So it was a long event, and I'm glad we got some clear days here coming up to get our guys a rest as we start moving into February and maybe some additional rain.
All right, we need to move on to our Caltrans presentation here. Scott, do you want to real briefly?
Yeah, very quickly. Our little neighborhood's completely off grid. We had power throughout. That said, residents that are grid tied can work towards islanding, and there are a lot of options, some not expensive and some more expensive. It makes a difference if you're sitting in the dark it makes a difference when you're not sitting in the dark because your island did. Thank you.
All right. Well, I do want to thank everybody for joining us from PG&E and from the county. I know there is a lot of information that we can still look back upon going forward, and certainly with respect to the trees that came down and maintaining our in our communities those trees and determining which ones need to be removed is certainly a question that will be continued to be. I know folks in my community here in Bodega Bay are looking at trees along Caltrans right-of-ways and along county road right-of-ways that we all have needs in terms of maintenance on those trees. So we may have to look at that for a future agenda in terms of, which I know Scott has done a lot of work on fire prevention as well, but perhaps from the perspective of trees falling, and that we may need to want to have a conversation on that in the MAC as well. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to our Caltrans Rumble Strip project. So Hannah, are you on the line now? Thank you very much to everyone, all the PG&E folks and county folks. All right. Okay. Hannah, there you are, Hannah. Do you want to go ahead and start the presentation? Oh, I don't think we can hear you. Jason, is she unmuted?
Hannah, you look unmuted from our end. I'm not sure. I know you had actually asked, I think at the beginning, if you could test, and I'm sorry we weren't able to do a test. Are you able to check your mic settings? We could also send you a phone in number if that's helpful, and then you could phone in on a telephone to the Zoom.
Hey guys, this is Arnica. I'm Hannah's manager at Caltrans. Oh Hannah, you're here. Can you hear? Can we hear you? Now I can see you.
So I believe she's having some audio issues.
Hannah, do you want to bring it up and I'll just go through your slides for you? We were kind of wondering if Hannah was going to have audio issues. She's a long ways away from all of us.
So Hannah, if you look in the chat, you should see the phone number to call in, and we can make that number a host if you want to. And then Jason, can we let her present?
You should be able to share screen if somebody wants to walk through that. But I see that she's there. She is.
I think she's dialing in. Technology. All right. Hannah, can you share the screen with us, and maybe somebody else can walk through the slideshow?
I'm going to apologize in advance.
Hi, this is Yetz. I'm the project manager. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
There we
sorry
go.
guys.
Great.
That's probably not what you are you seeing? No. What are you?
Hannah, you want
Sorry.
to go on like the presentation, so.
Okay, hold on, guys. Okay. I didn't practice this part. Okay.
There you go.
Can you, I guess you're seeing my script and I'm not. Oh,
Yes, so
sorry.
we are now seeing the presentation now.
Yeah, you're good. Anika.
Hold on
Oh.
just a second. Um, sorry about this, guys. Okay, yeah, Hannah, that would be great if you can share the screen and I'll okay. Can you guys all see our screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So thank you all for making the time for us to be here. My name is Arnica McCarthy. I am a senior environmental planner for Marin and Sonoma counties. And so we are here tonight with other members of the project development team. So welcome to this virtual meeting, public meeting for the State Route 1 Centerline Rumble Strip project in Sonoma County. Caltrans is the CEQA lead agency for the project. We are here to let you know that we've prepared a draft initial study with a negative declaration or a draft ISND, which you might see throughout this presentation. Our purpose of being here tonight is to provide an overview of the draft ISND, including impacts to the natural and physical environment, and provide an opportunity to for you all and the community to ask questions about the project. Next slide. Hannah, can you move the slide forward? Perfect, thank you. Before we start the discussion about the project, we want to thank you all at the Sonoma Coastal Municipal Advisory Council on letting us be a part of this meeting. We also want to reiterate some of the meeting protocols that and encourage your participation during question and answers. Please click on the question and answers feature or raise your hand to request to speak. The moderator will call on you when it's your turn. When contributing, please be respectful of the community members' concerns and input. Please note that comments made orally during this meeting will not be captured in the final environmental document. For comments to be included in the final environmental document, please submit your comments via email or mail, and instructions on how to submit comments will be provided at the end of the presentation. Next slide. Perfect. So the purpose of us being here with you tonight is to provide, to let you know that the draft environmental ISND, or the draft environmental document, is available now through February 15th for public and agency review. The purpose of us presenting tonight is to provide an overview of the proposed project, disclose the environmental impacts, and provide an opportunity for you guys as the council and the public to ask questions about the project. Oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, so we accept public comments either via email and or in writing. Like I said, they'll be provided at the end of this presentation. And so next slide. So the topics we're going to cover include the project's location, the purpose and need, project components, construction activities, environmental review, schedule, and where the draft environmental document is available to review. We will also cover instructions for submitting comments and conclude with a question and answer session. The photo on this slide depicts roughly what the centerline rumble strip within the project corridor would look like. Their purpose is to decrease head-on collisions and cross centerline collisions. And our project engineer will discuss the centerline rumble strip in more detail later in the presentation. I am now going to hand it over to Yetz, our project manager, to discuss the project location and the purpose and need.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yetz Jangit. I'm the project manager for this project. The proposed project is located between Post Mile 0 and Post Mile 58.58 on State Route 1 in Sonoma County. State Route 1 is within the project corridor. It's a 2-lane conventional highway with no 2 little shoulders in each direction and with no high occupancy vehicle lanes. There's no HOV lane on currently on Route 1 on this project limit. Next slide, please. So the purpose for this project is to reduce the number and severity of head-on collisions, cross center line, and runoff road collisions in order to provide safe traffic operations on State Route 1, and also to provide refuge areas for bicyclists to use when being passed by motorists on this stretch of the highway. The current 2- and 3-lane safety monitoring program has identified several head-on collisions, sideswipe collisions, and fatal collisions on State Route in Sonoma County on the project limits where this project is located. The 2012 California Roadway Departure Safety Implementation Plan also identified State Route 1 in Sonoma County as having fatalities from runoff road collisions that meet the threshold for countermeasures. California Road Departure Safety Implementation Plan promotes the implementation of centerline rumble strips on 2-lane undivided rural highways. I will now hand over the presentation to Louis. He's going to give more details about the project, and he's a project engineer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Hernandez. I am the project engineer for this project. Caltrans is proposing to install ground-in centerline rumble strips, install wet night visibility striping, and widen the shoulder at 50 spot locations on State Route 1 in Sonoma County. The centerline rumble strip will not be installed where the speed limit is equal to or less than 35 miles per hour, and at locations such as highway intersections, pedestrian crossings, cattle guards, commercial or town centers, and left turn lane openings. In addition, Caltrans is proposing to widen the existing shoulder to 6 feet at 50 spot locations where there's an existing width of shoulder that is relatively flat or on an uphill grade that will not require extensive embankment creation, excavation, or retaining structures to construct the widening. The depth of the excavation will be 1.8 feet, and the total new impervious surface due to the shoulder widening would be 4.05 acres. Currently, of the 50 locations, 11 of them are on the northbound lane and 39 locations on the southbound lane. These locations were selected considering their expected benefit to cyclists, the limited environmental impacts, and the limited right-of-way concerns. Next slide, please. So the pre-construction activities. Prior to the beginning of the construction-related activities, construction area signs and environmentally sensitive area fencing will be installed. ESA fencing would be used to protect the vegetation, the trees, and the archaeologically sensitive areas from the construction-related activities. This photo is an example of how ESA fencing was used on a different Caltrans project. It effectively kept construction activity away from the trees and vegetation. The traffic management plan. So a transportation management plan would be required for this project. It's anticipated that the proposed construction would require rolling 1-lane closures and flagging. The TMP would include public information and press releases to notify and inform motorists, local businesses, community groups, emergency service providers, and local officials of the upcoming closures and the work that will be involved. For the installation of the ground-in centerline rumble strip, the shoulder widening, and the pavement delineation, moving lane and shoulder closures are anticipated due to the construction equipment needed and the highway geometric constraints. So now it's the construction strategy. So for the installation of the centerline rumble strip, it's anticipated that a grinder truck would grind the existing striping from the center line and then grind in the centerline rumble strip. The highway surface would be cleaned immediately after with a vacuum truck, and then application of the new 6-inch wet night visibility striping would be completed with the striping truck within the same closure limits. For widening and paving of the 6-foot shoulders, it would happen from the existing edge of travelway, and that would be completed separately from the rumble strip and the restriping operation. Shoulder closures are anticipated during construction of the shoulder widening due to the construction equipment and the highway geometric constraints. So this is an overview of the cross section. So this slide depicts the typical cross section of our project, shows the shoulders are being widened from the existing edge of travelway and the installation of the rumble strip at the existing center line. Caltrans has used rumble strips as a safety countermeasure to alert inattentive drivers that their vehicles are deviating from the travelway. As vehicle tires pass over the rumble strips, the driver will receive an auditory and mild tactile warning to correct the steering path. So I now hand it over back, well, it wouldn't be handed, it would be handed back to Arnica.
I think that Hannah may have figured out.
Yeah, can you all hear me now?
There we go. Yes, we can, Hannah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Zoom would not give permissions to my microphone. Okay, so I think I have my video on. Let's see. Okay, great. So, thank you, Luis. As construction of the centerline rumble strip segments and shoulder widening locations concludes, all construction-related items would be removed. This includes removing the environmentally sensitive area fencing and construction area signs. For the shoulder widening locations, that would require clearing and grubbing of vegetation. Vegetation control and revegetation efforts would be finalized during the design phase and in consultation with state parks. In addition, the project would conclude with a 5-year plant establishment period once construction is over. This photo is a post-construction photo from the State Route 1 rumble strip project in Marin County that shows the post-construction revegetation efforts. Since we have discussed what the project will entail, let's move on to discussing the environmental review that has been conducted for this project. Summarized in the slide are the resource areas where the project was determined to have no impact or a less than significant impact on environmental resources. The project would have no impact on the following resources: agricultural and forestry resources, mineral resources, population and housing, public services, and recreation. The project would have a less than significant impact on these resources: aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, energy, geology and soils, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, land use and planning, noise, transportation, tribal cultural resources, utilities and service systems, and wildfire. This is the anticipated schedule for the project. The public review period started January 17th, 2023, and will close on February 15th, 2023. Within this period, Caltrans will accept written comments from the public and agencies. These comments will be responded to and incorporated into the final environmental document, which is expected to be available to the public in March of 2023. If the project is approved, the design phase will begin right after and end in June 2024, which it will then be advertised for contractor bidding. Afterward, construction is expected to begin in January 2025 and be completed by December of 2026. The 5-year plant establishment period would begin immediately after construction completion date and is expected to be completed December of 2031. To review the document, we welcome you to visit the Caltrans District 4 Environmental Document webpage by following the link provided in the slide, or you can read the document in person at the Sonoma County Regional Library, Guerneville Regional Library, or the Cotati Regional Library. To submit a comment on the draft environmental document, please email the project email address at son1centerlinerumble-strip@dot.ca.gov, or send your comment by postal mail to the address shown on this slide. Finally, we'll have a question and answer session. If you wish to ask your questions now, you can click on the Q&A or raise hand feature on your screen to notify the moderator. One of our panelists today will address your question or provide more information. Just as a reminder, comments made orally during this Q&A session will not be captured in the final environmental document. We welcome you to submit a written comment by February 15th, 2023. Caltrans will respond to written comments received via email or postal mail in the final environmental document. We will leave this slide up during the Q&A session so that everyone can be sure to accurately capture the email address and the mailing address that comments will be submitted to. And it's now open for the Q&A session.
Okay. Beth, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yes, thank you so much. I very much appreciate the presentation by Caltrans and the employees taking their time on an evening to participate in this. I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments. My first comment is that the environmental impact report is very incorrect if it says agriculture is not affected. Agriculture will be substantially affected by this project. That doesn't mean don't do it, but we will be affected. Our animals, our livestock are noise sensitive and they're creatures of habit. And this is going to be a substantial change in their routine. And this is going to limit our ability to get to our animals and our livestock in case of emergency or just simple feeding. Again, I'm not saying don't do it, but it will be affecting livestock considerably. My question is, will the adjoining landowners that have property that abut this project be personally notified? Not by the media, not by a sign, but will Caltrans reach out in a fashion to the individual property owners? This is going to be a very big deal. Again, not to prevent the project from going forward, but so that we can plan accordingly. I know for myself, it will add considerable delays when I'm trying to access my livestock. So what is Caltrans's plan to notify adjacent property owners?
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Thanks for both your comments and your questions. So part of our one of our minimization strategies included in the environmental document is to prepare a traffic management plan during the design phase of this project. We will, and so I would highly encourage you to put your concerns in writing, both either through the email address or we mailed to me directly at Caltrans, and it'll give us that good reminder that we need to make sure that we're coordinating during, making sure that we call that out as how we coordinate through the traffic management plan development prior to construction.
Okay. So, and please forgive me, perhaps I missed something because audio sometimes breaks up, but will property owners be notified well in advance before this takes place?
Well, so I think that there are, what do I want to say? That there are, you know, like you said, a lot of times our notification process is through social media or newspaper ads or coordination with Sonoma County. I think that your comment is warranted. And like I said, I think by providing it in writing, it'll help us document the importance of how we coordinate with private landowners adjacent to the project.
Okay, so thank you, but so what you're saying is no, there is currently at this time no plan then, and I will reach out in writing. And honest to God, I'm not trying to be at all difficult, but the last road project that got done very recently, you had equipment blocking my gates for a long time, and there was nobody to get a hold of to tell them get out to move it. I could not enter my property through some of my gates because of the equipment. So I definitely will be reaching out, but I would love to see Caltrans establish a responsible communication with all the property owners that are adjacent to their projects. Thank you very much.
But this is Yates, you know, I'm the project manager. So yeah, we do have a public information outreach program, you know, before the project. And, you know, when we go actual construction, you know, and I totally understand your concern, you know, I won't mind, like, you know, my driveway to be blocked by, you know, some equipment, you know. So yeah, we do have, you know, a PIO campaign before construction, and, you know, even way before the construction goes into place, and also, like, you know, as we progress the project. So there will be, like, you know, information out there, and we sometimes send out the mailers too, you know, and then so we will inform you if that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. I've yet to receive a mailer. I'm a cattle rancher, and getting on social media is beyond a challenge. And, you know, so that social media won't cut it. We need to be personally reached out to. But thank you very much. I appreciate your answer to the question.
Sure.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, one of the challenges of driving up and down Highway 1 in our area is that it's very windy, which we love, but it's the people that are enjoying the view rather than moving along. And there are pullouts, which, but the pullouts are loose material mostly. Is it that these will these pullouts be paved in this process? And if not, could they be?
So I think I can answer that, Scott. My name is Luis. I'm the project engineer. The majority of the locations where we are extending out and making the shoulder 6 feet are currently those gravel area pullouts that you are mentioning. Obviously not all of them, because it is nearly 60 miles long, but the 50 targeted locations do take those into account.
So it'll extend the 6 feet into those areas, or will it take it to a width that a car can actually pull over and let people pass?
So it won't be the entire way. It would be from the existing edge of travel way 6 feet out.
Okay, well, okay, I understand I need to write that. So thank you. It's a challenge because the soft material creates a drop off, and people shouldn't drive into it unless they've got a truck. A lot of vehicles bottom out. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see anybody else on the panel, but Pat Patterson. Pat, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Pat Patterson, beautiful Bodega Bay. Now, I just wanted to double check. Now, you're not making turnouts. You're only widening the shoulder to 6 feet where you can. You're not going to make any more turnouts. We only have one northbound and one southbound turnout from the Russian River to the county line at Marin. And there's a few north of there, but we're sort of on a turnout diet here in beautiful Highway 1. Can you fix that?
Okay, let me try to answer that question. So yeah, do you mind, like, you know, if you can send an email, or, like, you know, give us that location which you're talking about in writing, and we'll certainly will take a look at it, and we'll see what we can do.
Wonderful. And is your address on the screen for who we should send this to, or is there contact information somewhere?
Yes, so the address is like email address like Sonoma, like Son1 Centerline Rubber Strip at DOT.
Yeah, it's the one on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
I can
Thank
even
you
send
so
like a postal mail if you like.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much.
You're welcome.
Right, it looks like that's everybody. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, seeing no more questions, I want to thank the folks from PG&E. Sorry, from
Brian, I did
Caltrans.
catch that there. Sorry, Jason had to leave, but I'm manning the meeting now. There is one in the Q&A that was added just a few minutes ago. Carol Klenica asked, hasn't this project begun already? These rumble strips are already in place south of Jenner, I think. I like them. Is there anybody who can speak to whether those rumble strips in place in Jenner are part of this project or if there's something different?
Okay, I can try and answer that question. So I think this project will go in construction in 2025, beginning of 2025. So it's not started yet, and the location, Carol was talking about, it's not, probably it might exist. I'm not sure on that, especially given the project limit for this project, which is almost like 58, almost 60 miles. So this project will install new. And there are certain locations, and when we develop this project more, we'll know more details, what those locations are, which, needs to be like, but it won't go until construction in 2025.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, Leo, just to add that if there is existing rumble strip on centerline rumble strip on Highway 1 in Sonoma County, this project won't remove it necessarily, like that's not part of our scope. So if you have it now, you will continue to have it after this project is through.
Great, thank you so much. We also try to look at Facebook for questions and comments, and what I see is there's just one pair of comments from Kelly Joyce Persich. She's saying it's also very difficult to reach Caltrans to report hazards. Forestville hotspot right next to elementary school off Highway 116 Packing House Road. So it's not on the Highway 1 topic, but is there a general guidance on how someone like Kelly could reach out to Caltrans to report hazards in specific locations?
Sorry guys, this is Arnica. Caltrans does have a division of maintenance customer service request that I can drop in the chat. I think. Let's see. Can I send it to everyone, Leo? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And I can paste it into Facebook since that's where this originated as well.
So for maintenance requests, that's at least the initial best point of contact.
Thank you. And Brian, there is one more now in the Q&A. I don't know if it's too late or if you want to take this as the last one. We're a little over. It's your call.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's just do it real quick. It's from Norma. I assume the MPs in the 4 segments of the project are better designated as to location in the ISND. Does that make sense?
I can start, and then yes, if you have anything to add, within the ISND or within the draft environmental document, there is a list of the location of those 50 shoulder widening locations.
Yes, that's correct, Annika. the DPR, which is draft, report, should have those locations. And correct me, Liz, if I'm wrong.
I believe they're identified by post mile in the document.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody from Caltrans. This has been a very enlightening conversation. So thank you very much. And then we will move on to our staff reports.
Thanks everybody for having us and letting us present our project. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you once again. Thank you. And Elise, do you want to start?
Ready for me to dive in?
Go ahead.
I'm loath to stick with this title, Final Roads Report, given the fact that we've just had so much roads disruption. But in terms of the biannual pavement preservation program, we received quite a few suggested roads from all up and down the coast for paving, and also in the interior of West County. And Debbie and I split up the roads and drove them all, and then ranked them based on the condition of the road, whether it's an evacuation route or not, the location, and then gave recommendations to Transportation and Public Works. Sorry, it's now Public Infrastructure. Gave that list to PI, and they're now going to put prices on all the recommended roads, and we'll be able to then figure out what we have budget for and what we can do this year, and the other ones will roll into the next time. So I'll have the final report back from Public Infrastructure once we get the pricing and make those decisions on the roads. But be assured that there's been a lot of work gone into driving all the roads in West County. Debbie and I now know the byways and back roads better than anybody, I think. And we'll get back to you as on what roads were picked. Yes, Beth?
I've had quite a few constituents from all over West County reach out to me regarding this project, and there's confusion as to what this project is. And if we could get some clarification, this is not repaving, correct?
It's just repaving.
It is it repaving, completely repaving, or is it preserving the pavement that exists?
No, it's repaving.
It is repaving. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say that so they actually analyze what treatment is appropriate for what road. So in some cases it is a chip seal, and others, especially in West County, we have a lot of roads that actually require full depth reclamation, which is about $1 million a mile, where they grind up the road base and then redo that. And then in others, it's a sort of resurfacing. So I don't know if that's kind of what you're getting at, is sort of like what treatment.
Well, no, thank you very much. This is great clarification. I was under the impression from the last meeting that it was just preserving whatever existing pavement there was. This would not be a complete repaving project. So thank you very much for the clarification.
Okay, I think it's probably the name. It's called the Pavement Preservation Program. And so that's probably where the confusion originated.
And one of the reasons for that is just for future knowledge is that they need to stay on the current roadway. So often people are looking at the pavement preservation program and saying, why can't we just throw in a bike lane while you're at it? And why can't you just do this? Or how come we can't do these other things? But it's basically going into much broader road work requires different permits and environmental review and all these sorts of things. So the pavement preservation program is sticking with the current road bed. Exactly.
Okay, great.
So,
thank you. And how much in total does Sonoma County have? I'm anticipating getting this question, and that's why I'm asking it. How much
in terms of road miles or money or what?
The money. What's in the purse?
West County has a budget for 2024-25 of $12 million.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the clarification and that information.
program. Administrative update regarding in-person meetings and discussion about meeting locations and logistics. So as of March, unless this has changed, Lynda, from the last notification we got, as of March, we need to go back to in-person meetings. We would like to provide hybrid meetings where we have in-person plus some option of streaming. We're going to be testing this within our team in the next couple of meetings, but that means that we will need to meet in places where there is good Wi-Fi capability and good internet so that we will be able to stream. So that means that we'll probably be meeting in places like Timber Cove, Bodega Bay, I think has a couple good locations, and Sea Ranch has a good location. So we won't be able to get back to the going to every single district for our meetings, but we will be able to be out and about. And the representatives need to be in the room with the meet in the in-person section, but we'll be able, we hope, to do some sort of hybrid. We're going to be doing some testing, and hopefully we'll get some more information out to you before your next meeting. Any questions about that? Comments?
If I can just add one thing, which is that we can definitely get a representative from County Council's office to attend the next meeting and provide an update, because there will still be very limited exemptions in which you could participate remotely without actually sharing your personal residence address, but it's really on kind of a case-by-case basis and actually requires a vote of the board. So it's a kind of complicated legislative piece that the state passed that pretty much every local government is really angry at and wants them to reform. And so there's ongoing advocacy to try to fix this, because it actually creates an odd situation where someone for political reasons could vote against allowing someone who, say, is COVID positive to participate remotely in a meeting. They kind of didn't think through all the possibilities. And so anyways, I think we could probably get County Council to either send a formal memo explaining or answer your questions at a future meeting so that if you're ill or you need to take care of a family member, that there are emergency exemptions that would still allow remote participation.
And lastly, in the staff report, do we have any other questions on that before we go? Lastly, on the staff report, I do have a report from Equitable Access California on the free Wi-Fi program. Things have gotten pushed back a little bit because of the storms. Jenner, I know Jenner is particularly of importance, but what we're waiting for on Jenner is Starlink equipment, because we can't pull from Comcast in Jenner. So we are just waiting to get shipped that equipment from Starlink in order to do that from Jenner, and we don't have a date yet from Starlink, but it is high on our priorities, and as soon as we get the equipment, we will do that. Cazadero is wrapped up, so their free Wi-Fi should be happening in Cazadero. Next week, Bodega, the town of Bodega, will be done if all goes well. Bodega Bay apparently has run into some challenges in that they haven't been able to get a hold of the owner of the Pelican Inn building, which is where one of the locations is. So they're trying to get some details sorted out in Bodega Bay, but that should be happening soon. So Bodega Bay will soon be up and running. And then lastly, Jenner. So that's the update on the free Wi-Fi project. And that's what I have in my staff update. Scott?
Is there any movement on getting hazardous material day restored in the North Coast area? It was at Sea Ranch and it's been canceled for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe Marty knows exactly. And it's contracted to Mendocino, but is there any idea when we'll be able to bring our hazardous materials, batteries, paint to a location in the North Coast soon?
The Lower Russian River MAC has a great trash committee. I don't know if your coastal MAC would be interested in setting up an ad hoc committee as well. And one of the things that they're doing is setting up community cleanups in all the different communities. And they've created a really wonderful manual and procedures, and would do it along the coast as well in terms of setting up a hazardous material day or a community cleanup day. So if there's obviously if you want to be the one who would be the right contact for them to help you set up such a thing, I'm sure they would be happy to help you.
Isn't this just
We
part of?
already had that, Elise. But we don't have anywhere to take the stuff that people contribute. We have people at the fire district here at Sea Ranch who are trained. And they used to send people in from Mendocino County who would accept this stuff and haul it away.
Right. Well, the part of the procedure that the trash team has come up with here is the relationship, so that they will come and bring bins and set the bins up so that people can come drop off their things, and how to monitor those bins so that hazardous waste goes in the right place.
I think it's far more regulated than that. It's they wear hazmat suits and
Right.
are spread out. And I think Zero Waste Management does that for the rest of the county, but it's been
Yes.
farmed out to Mendocino County in our area, and they have failed.
I'll
we're
put you in touch with the right people to work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you, Elise. We appreciate all that hard work on that. So I guess if anybody has any future agenda items, we do have on the calendar a presentation from the IOLERO, which is the Sheriff Oversight. We hope to get that on our agenda hopefully maybe in March or maybe the following meeting. But are there any agenda items from council members? Beth?
Yes, thank you so much. I think it was the last meeting in November, I had suggested that we have an agenda item that discusses the influence and impact some of the NGOs and nonprofits have on our county, and how and their influence on policy and programs like the LCP. I think that there's a lot of questions in our community over this, and I think it would be a wonderful agenda item going forward.
Okay, well, we can consider that. Does anybody else have any other ideas?
Brian, we have a procedural correction in the vote for the chair and the vice chair.
Okay.
We failed to take public comment at that point. So what we would like to do is to have one person make a motion appointing Brian as chair and Beth as vice chair, and then give an opportunity for public comment before we have a roll call vote. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move that Brian be chair and Beth be vice chair.
I second
it.
Take your pick.
Doesn't matter. Do we have any public comment on the chair or vice chair selection?
I'm not seeing any comments. If there are any attendees who do wish to comment, please raise your hand. Okay, I think you're okay to proceed.
Okie doke. So roll call vote. Beth? How do you vote?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It took me a minute to unmute. Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Ginny?
Aye.
Jill? Aye. And Caroline.
Aye.
Thank you all so much for giving us the chance to get that perfectly right. Thank you.
Do you want to make a pitch for the workshop? Isn't the workshop coming up in Monterey?
Oh, sorry. Yes, so for our board members, we do have a workshop on the, correct me if I'm wrong, the 22nd, which is this weekend, at the Monterey Community Center. So, and Elise, I believe that is also going to be streamed as well.
We're gonna give that a try as a hybrid meeting for the first time.
All
So.
right. Well, I hope to, you know, for any new folks, I hope to see lots of smiling faces there. And all right, so I believe that is everything. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I so move.
I second.
Okay, I'll go ahead and take the roll call for you, Brian. Beth,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Marty,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Caroline,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and Ginny. Okay, 7:53 and we're adjourned. Thank you.
Right.
Everybody.
See you Sunday.
Bye-bye.